you go. It's super foggy in downtown. See that there? There you go. Oh man, you can't see no buildings, huh? Look at that. Completely fogged, right? Huh? Is bad today, huh? Guys, right in the middle of the road, huh?
Free Odyssey app is 3:58. Time to check in on the roads. High travel times, Neil.
Yeah, Lisa, what we know, the weather goes bad and the traffic goes bad, so the Eden's now your travel time.
Well, it's a little more people today, right? Yesterday was bad, right? Remember?
42 to Montrose. Hit the express lanes from downtown out to the Eden, save about 3 minutes. An hour drive to O'Hare and 55 minutes in. On the Eisenhower, you're an hour 17 to and from the Jane Addams Tollway. If you're outbound getting to Manheim, close to an hour just to get to that exit. On the Stevenson outbound, 48 to the Cicero Avenue exit. An hour 3 if you're headed to the Tri-State. An hour 20 out toward Bolingbrook and 355. Past that, delays continue around Joliet Road. Had a crash. It looks like everything's been cleared away now. On the Stevenson inbound, you're at 50 from 355 in. Southside Expressway, Sedan Ryan, 55 outbound, 23 minutes inbound. I-57 going out 20, about 16 either way on the Ford. Through South Lakeshore Drive, your standard delays on both sides. Same with the tollways, really nothing out of the ordinary, just driving a little bit slower because of the rain falling in spots. 80 has delays, so does 8094 in Northwest Indiana. Next report, 408 News Radio 1059 WBBM.
And as Neil mentioned, we've got rain moving into the area. Rain, drizzle, and fog on the forecast docket tonight. Also, maybe a thunderstorm. A low near 40. Right now, we've got 39 degrees. Light rain and Wheeling at 3:59.
Featuring the news that matters and breaking news at any time. This is Chicago's news, traffic, and weather station. News Radio 1059 WBBM.
Coming up in the next half hour on News Radio.
See, it's the Uber drivers. You see that guy? He's turning from the middle lane. You see that there? That guy right up there.
Chicago's top watchdog says she's concerned after her office's latest attempt
Listen to this.
get more information on a high-profile city hire. Plus, the Senate begun voting on a War Powers Resolution Act connected to the conflict in the Middle East. More on that coming up from CBS News.
On Wall Street, a rebound for stocks today after some good economic data. The Dow up 238 points, the Nasdaq up 291, the S&P added 53. I'm Tom Busby at Bloomberg.
I haven't read it. Inspector General said that Brandon Johnson illegally hired somebody,
Sponsored by
and he was refusing to give them the paperwork.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. In the U.S. Senate right now, lawmakers are voting on whether to rein in President Trump's war powers. CBS's Allison Keyes.
Idaho Republican Senator John Risch blasted Democrats for even thinking that President Trump doesn't have the power to unleash war in Iran.
This isn't new. This has happened 45 in the last 47 presidencies.
But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer told the floor the last thing we need is another war in the Middle East.
One thing is crystal clear. America is at war.
Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Americans stranded in the Middle East by the fighting with Iran are growing more frustrated in their efforts to leave. CBS's Cammie McCormick.
The State Department has a line for stranded Americans to call.
If you are calling about the crisis in the Middle East, please press 1.
But many Americans
Please
like
press
this guy in
1.
Saudi Arabia have been frustrated.
Is that a missile button?
Situation. We were registered with the embassy before we even got here, and we knew about nothing happening until a missile was actually intercepted not far from where we were working.
The State Department's Tommy Pickett says charter flights and other options are being arranged,
We are proactively identifying as many options as we can.
but even charter flights are impacted by closed
What's that
airports
guy
and
doing?
airspace.
Minnesota
President
plates,
Trump says
man.
the
What's he
US is making
doing, right?
tremendous
You
progress
see that guy?
We're in very good shape now.
That's the Uber with
And we will
illegal
continue
plates.
But it's a great display of military strength.
Trump says Iran is a nation that was out of control and would have attacked
Man,
the
we
U.S.
gotta watch that
Defense
guy,
Secretary
right?
Pete Hegseth says more U.S. bombers are arriving in the Middle East as the U.S. and Israel intensify the war against Iran. CBS's Aaron Navarro.
At a Pentagon briefing Wednesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. and Israeli air forces will soon have complete control of Iranian airspace.
It means we will fly all day, all night, day and night, finding, fixing, and finishing the missiles and defense industrial base of the Iranian military. Finding
Now that guy
and
too, right? You see that? They all do the same thing. You see that?
Leaders.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison here
Really
were in
bad
Washington,
drivers.
D.C.
That's a
today
horrible
testifying
driver
before
there.
a House
See that
Oversight
there?
Committee hearing on a social
That guy right
services
there.
fraud scandal in that state. Oversight
See
Committee
him?
Chairman Republican James Comer and Governor Walz, a Democrat, clashed over restarting payments to
It's
social
Uber.
services.
You didn't stop payments because you didn't want to rock the boat. And when fraud
That's not
concerns were
correct.
I don't know what's going on here.
The
with
House
that guy.
Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to testify as part of its ongoing
Horrible
Jeffrey
drivers.
Epstein investigation. CBS News has learned that it will be a closed-door deposition.
Better
This is CBS
watch
News.
that guy, right?
Looking for spring jewelry looks? Find them
Yeah,
at
that-
Jewelry
that's a
Television.
dangerous driver
New customers get $20 off purchases of $99.
It's an Uber with out-of-state plates.
Is that?
Yeah, sure, that's an Uber. They're all Ubers out there. Out-of-state plates, probably don't speak English, and has a driver's license, right? Alrighty. I'll see you later. Happy Hump Day.
We've got temperature in the upper 30s right now at O'Hare. The AccuWeather 5-day forecast coming up for you at 4:15. But first at 4. Well, the conflict in the Middle East continues. Security is already being increased around synagogues and other Jewish institutions in Chicago as that response to Israeli and U.S. airstrikes going on in Iran. And leaders of Jewish organizations today called on Mayor Johnson to take action on task force recommendation from Chicago's City Commission on Human Relations aimed at stopping anti-Semitic attacks. Rogers Park Alderwoman Deborah Silverstein is City Council's only Jewish member.
When any community faces a surge in hate, the city must respond swiftly and decisively. Jewish Chicagoans deserve nothing less. Chicago has always prided itself on being a city that stands up for its residents. Now is the time to prove it.
She and others accuse the mayor of not doing enough to address safety concerns from the city's Jewish community. We've asked the mayor's office for response. Well, Cook County prosecutors are dropping charges against dozens of protesters who were arrested outside Chicago's immigration detention center in Broadview last year.
21 cases were dismissed Wednesday, including charges against 15 mothers who jumped concrete barriers outside the ICE processing center last November. The women, mostly moms from Oak Park and River Forest, sat down in the street and held hands in an act of civil disobedience, saying they wanted to draw attention to federal immigration enforcement tactics here in Chicago. Now, their attorney says the cases involve no violence and no resisting. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office agrees, saying in a statement they strongly support freedom of speech protections and respects every person's constitutional right to peacefully assemble and protest. More than 100 people were arrested outside the Broadview facility this fall. Most of those cases are still pending. Glenn Marshall, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Too often a person's will is tucked into a cabinet or placed under a mattress, but by the time a loved one dies, their family can't find it and their final wishes aren't accurately fulfilled. A new plan in Springfield aims to give people more peace of mind about distributing their assets. WBBM's Nancy Hardy reports it goes beyond just writing the will.
The Cook County Circuit Court Clerk's Office processes between 8,000 and 10,000 wills a year. Clerk Mariana Sparopoulos is pushing a move to allow her office and others across the state to set up a depository for them. She tells us safely storing a will, however, does not mean it's valid.
The wills will still have to go through probate court. The Probate Act will still apply, a probate judge will still rule on those wills. All we're doing is providing a storage for the wills.
Legislation in Springfield would allow the clerks to charge $25 for the service. Varopoulos says it's an affordable way to make the process easier for heirs. If approved, Illinois would follow Wisconsin, Indiana, Texas, and other states that have such systems. Nancy Hardy, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Chicago's top government watchdog says her office's attempt to get information about a high-profile hire in the Johnson administration has left her with concerns.
Inspector General Deborah Witzberg says it's spelled out in the law. Her office has the authority to make sure that city departments follow rules designed to make sure hiring is fair and free of political influence. But when her office asked the city's law department for the hiring file on a new member of its team, the department said no, citing what it called the high-profile nature of the position.
It is those high-profile situations where there is the highest call for oversight.
The IG's office tried again, this time with an anonymous public records request, and investigators got the files they wanted.
If these records in fact were confidential in some way, the law department wouldn't have sent them out the door.
Witzberg says she's concerned the situation is not isolated.
This is part of a long-running pattern in the law department of obstructing independent and effective oversight.
The law department filed a response denying that it deliberately failed to comply and called the incident a chance to review its procedures. We're at City Hall. Jeff Buckles, News Radio 105.9. WBBM.
11-year-old girl was taken to the hospital after school on Monday after 3 of her classmates allegedly sexually assaulted her. Chicago police say it happened after school let out near the National Teachers Academy Elementary School in the 2200 block of South Federal. Officers say 3 boys approached the girl and then assaulted her before running away. Paramedics took her to Lurie Children's, but have not shared further details. Detectives continue to investigate the incident. It is 4:08 now. Time for traffic. Traffic and weather together on the 8th. Weather affecting things.
All righty, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. SubX.News on the spot reporting. I hope that girl gets some help. I just heard a girl got raped. Where? That's the Chinatown School, NTLA, right? That's 22nd Street over there. It's a very bad area. They have drugs, gangs, and all of that in that area. It sounds like some classmates or some young people took advantage of a girl over there, and we hope that they all be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Right? We don't have no room for that type of activity in our society where young people are hurting each other. That's the first thing. The second thing from the news that we heard is what? Brandon Johnson obstructs the Inspector General. What's the difference between him and Trump? Skin color, maybe. That's about it. They both act the same, as you just heard, right? They refused to give the Inspector General documents, and then when they asked for it a different way, they gave the documents. So they lied. They lied to the Inspector General. That's who Brandon Johnson is. He's an obstructionist. He violates the law. He violates our rights. He steals our money. And then you heard what? They're hiring people that might be illegal, right? Illegal inside of the system. They still have Jason Lee working there, who was a Texas resident. He signed and falsified a paper that he was a Texas resident, and he's working in Chicago City Hall, which is illegal. You can't do that. So he either lies in Chicago or he lied in Texas. I don't know why he hasn't been prosecuted by the feds for voter fraud, right? Or voter ID or whatever they call it, where you falsify a document. It's kind of strange, but, that's Trump for you, right? I don't know, man. He needs to focus, that guy. I guess he's in the middle of a war right now, so.
Your next report.
There you go, man. This whole... Let me show you. Let me show you this. See this here? That whole building is empty right here. That whole building is empty right there. Right. There you go. So there we're at. As far as crime, it sounds like they got the air tag guys, the air bag guys yesterday. On Taylor Street, we posted a few videos. They have different radio calls. The video might be the same, but they have different radio traffic. One is where they're chasing them in, or tracking. They don't chase, they track in Lower Wacker Drive. And then the next video, the one I just posted, is when they were running around by UIC over there in that fancy neighborhood. So
most online dating
We're going to see what's going on today. I am going to probably just go early, one hour about or whatever, do a little cycle, and then I'm going to go home. I'm going to see what's going on with the McKinley Park Chicago birthday today. Everybody knows Chicago was incorporated today on March 4th, 1837, I believe that is. So I don't even know how many years that is. 1837 minus 2026, whatever. That's a whole bunch of years. That's a lot older than I am, that's for sure. 18, that's 100, 19, I don't know what that is. Some of you guys are better in math. What's 1887 to 2026, right? You're a lot better. That's 87 is 13 and 26. That's 39, right? So it's 139 years old we are, right? It sounds like. Am I right? Double check my math there.
The email account of Judy Ogalla and forwarding emails. They're misdemeanor counts. Much has been made about motive. The Herald News reports the prosecution asserts it was done for political gain. Trainier is a Democrat. Ogalla is a Republican. The defense insists it was not criminal, but Trainier was sounding an alarm about a security flaw in the county's email system. All board members had the same generic password and had for years. Mike Krauser, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
A kitchen fire in Arlington Heights at a home at one of their own. The fire officials were called to a firefighter's home while he was on duty at the time. Crews say the incident started when the family was making breakfast and a toaster over caught the fire. The Arlington Heights Fire Department says the fire was contained into the kitchen, but the home is not habitable as a result of the smoke damage. No one was injured. Still looking into that cause of that fire. A local potato chip company is going green for St. Patrick's Day.
This is Chicago's Willy Wonka golden ticket moment.
But instead of a golden ticket, founder of local style potato chips, Laura Gardner, says Chicagoans should be looking for green potato chips.
1 in 20 bags have actual green chips inside, the color of a shamrock. And if you find one of those bags with actual green chips, you are a winner. You win an instant prize redeemable on localstylechips.com and are entered to win free chips for a whole entire year.
She says those green chips can be found in bags of a new limited edition St. Patty's flavor green beer.
Those notes of the hoppy flavor, really refreshing, really crisp, really bright, a little tinge of citrus. So the flavor of this chip really honors that craft beer scene here in the city.
Contest started Monday and goes through St. Patrick's Day. Carolina Garibay, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Well, unique amenity is coming to a CTA station this year.
First Ward Alderman Daniel Laspada is pushing forward with plans to install the city's first self-cleaning bathroom at the Milwaukee, Ashland, and Division intersection above the Division Blue Line station. Those plans call for installation by the end of the year, despite some concerns from Wicker Park residents about the restrooms location, safety, and cleanliness.
That's for sure.
Exactly how it will function and be cleaned is unclear. Laspada's office says it will not be open overnight and will have time limits for use. A statement also calls it one of the most popular proposals the office has ever seen. Andy Day, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Stay on top of the news. Sign up for WBBM.
We're going to get to some radio calls. The other thing that came up today, have you seen some of my Persepolis posts? SubX.News supports the war on Iran. We support that. We would like all the mullahs prosecuted for crimes against humanity because they killed people for political reasons. They just killed about 10 to 15,000 people just a few months ago. They've subjugated women. They've subjugated free speech. When they had the revolution back in the 70s, they killed a lot of political people, lefts and communists and right-wingers, right? They killed a lot of people, those people. So we support the war in Iran. We support that till the end. Everybody needs to be removed. Everybody that's part of that government, we think should be removed. I don't think it should be one of those Venezuela things where you just pop a new person in there. I don't think that's doable in Iran. In Iran, we need to clean it out. I hope we don't have to put soldiers there, and we give condolences to the 6 that have lost their lives. I guess I can say this. I think it's safe to say this. I'll say this. I'll have to say it a certain way. They just say we understand what's going on there, and we also know people that have been there and are there, right?
John Burek?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see periods of rain and drizzle out there for tonight.
And our son was there. So we can talk about that. I guess I won't tell you where he was, what he was doing, but he was in that area a year and a half ago or so, 2 years ago now. I think he was deployed 2 years ago. So he was over there. So this is not something that's just pops out of the Cracker Jacks box, right? It's planned and it's going on. And so if it's 2 years ago or so, think about it. If it's 2 years ago this was planned, who was president? If this was 2 years ago, who was president? If it was 2 years ago, who was president? Can somebody answer that question right here? Ms. Zedor, 2 years ago, who was the president? It wasn't Trump. He's only been in office 1 year. What did I just say? That's been planned for 2 years now. You don't go to a war tonight. That's not how it works. Does everybody get what I just said on the internet? Here, SubX.News one more time. Who was president 2 years ago? Look at the planning. This didn't happen tonight. It did not happen tonight. It didn't happen last night. You can't do that kind of an operation, not even in 6 months. It takes you 6 months to get the people there, okay? I'm going to tell you that right here. This operation started long before Trump. Okay? I don't even know how to go forward with this right now, this conversation. I kind of know a little bit, just a tiny bit, okay? I can't go into too much detail, but I'm telling you, this is not, maybe Trump did pull the proverbial trigger here. Kind of get what I'm saying? But this is, you don't start a war, not even in 6 months or a year. It takes years, because not only do you have to get the troops ready to go there, and everybody knows this, right? Right? It takes 6 months to a year to train somebody. So the guys that are in there now, they were trained for almost a year. So think about it. Go backwards. Do backwards mapping on this. Backwards map this attack. Backwards map it. The bombs have to be made. The bombs that they're dropping today, you just don't have a bomb factory. You don't go to a factory and say, oh yeah, give me a bunch of bombs. We're going to drop them tomorrow. The bombs take a long time to make. So if they're dropping all these bombs, those bombs were planned to be dropped. So the bombs that are being dropped now were made 2 to 3 years ago. You get where I'm going with the backwards mapping here. Because you have to have new bombs to replace the bombs that they're dropping. You can listen to some of these military guys. If you get to a good station, they'll tell you this stuff. This didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen under Trump. It happened long before. You have to plan these things, right? It's operational planning. You guys that are in the military know what I'm talking about. Don't be fooled by this stuff, right? It's all politics, right? So that's what I want to get straight here. And the second part of this is those guys, what I said earlier, are not no one's friends. They're not friends of democracy. They're not friends of women. They're not friends of Christians. They're not friends of the Jews. They're not friends of the left. The left that are talking about, oh, it's illegal and we can't do, they're not really left. They must be CIA or FBI agents. I just put that on one of my posts. Someone who's talking against Iran war, they're not a leftist, because that's the first people they took out. The mullahs took out the left. When they took over, and there's a movie made about it, Persepolis. You look it up. I just posted the picture up there. Persepolis talks about how their family suffered. She wasn't right-wing. She wasn't Christian. They were politically active people in Iran, and that's the first people that the mullahs got rid of. In any revolution, that's what they do. They get rid of the activists. They get rid of who? They get rid of the organizers, right? They get rid of the newspapers. Why? Because then it gets rid of any opposition, whether it's right or left. It doesn't matter right or left. But in the case of the mullahs of Iran, they killed the left. They killed the communists. They killed the democracy people. They killed all of those people. They killed all of them. They killed them. They didn't imprison them. They killed them. They executed them. There was a cleaning there. That's what they did. It was a bloodbath. There's a whole history on that stuff. So that's what I want to say. So we have to be really careful on who we listen to nowadays. So a person who pretends to be a liberal or left or Democrat and says, oh, you can't do this or that. Well, here, let's go over here one more time. Here, look. I know it's a little raining. It's 4:21 p.m., but look at this. It's completely empty again. There is no one here. You can say, oh, it's raining, it's cold. What does rain and cold have to do with a city? This is a city. Look, you're looking at it. We're abandoned here, right? It ain't no, right? There you go. It's right in front of you, right? Right, there you go. Did you see any cars out there? I might come here every day and see how many cars come here from now on, right? And see this, right? This should be packed with cars right now. That's what you should be seeing. It should all be packed. Yeah. Look it up. And talk to a military guy or a woman and ask him what's operational planning.